This week we take you to the enchanting Botanical Gardens, one of Tobago's most sought-after event venues, primarily because of its serenity, but also because of its rich history. We'll tell you more and explore the grounds as the program continues. But first, here's what's happening in our stories this week. THA donates funds to help Haiti. The Assembly encourages Tobagonians to invest, and more homeowners receive grants. These stories and more when Let's Talk Tobago continues. Stay with us.
I was introduced to the marine environment by my biology teacher when I was 14 years old, and I decided to make it my passion. So I've been diving for almost 32 years. I decided, listen, this is the job for me. I also find great joy in introducing the kids to that environment because that's our future. I am Alvin Douglas. I'm a dive shop operator at the Scarborough Beach facility, and tourism is all a we take.
This is Let's Talk Tobago. Welcome back to the Scarborough Botanical Gardens. Now, this place was originally a sugar plantation owned by the Scobie family. That's a bit of history right there, but here's something you might not be thinking about. Could you imagine losing everything you have to a natural disaster? Well, it's a reality for Haitians. After the 2010 earthquake, the majority of Haitians lost everything. Organizations around the world have been helping, even those right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's hear how this is happening in our next story.
7 years ago, a devastating earthquake hit Haiti, killing over 230,000 people. Today, families are still struggling to survive, and the children are still coming to terms with life as orphans. But through the help of one charity, the Haiti Foundation, lives are being improved one day at a time. With some help from the Tobago House of Assembly, the foundation is rebuilding the Internat St. Madeleine, an orphanage that was destroyed when the earthquake struck. The Office of the Chief Secretary donated just over $17,000 to the foundation.
We actually are in the process of building one of the care homes for the children. There are 5 care homes to house 100 children who have nowhere to live. It's 30 million TT dollars. But we're over the halfway mark, and thanks to the THA and for some of our other corporate and international sponsors, we have probably raised close to 16 million, I would say, already.
The foundation's goal is to offer children adequate nourishment, access to healthcare and education, and to equip them with strong moral and spiritual values. The orphanage will be run by the Sisters of Haiti Cluny.
The people who help us, who are the educators in this home, are the Cluny sisters, and they also help to provide a base. They help us too with the contributions, and they provide the teachers and the caretakers for this home.
The Haiti Foundation also constructed a school for 600 kindergarten and primary school students. The THA assisted with this project too, donating $100,000 to the cause in 2016. In addition to the death toll, over 300,000 were injured due to the earthquake, which left 1.3 million people homeless. For further information on how you can donate to the project, Rebuilding Internat St. Madeleine, visit www.haittfoundation.org. I'm Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
The garden was primarily made up of, well, the obvious, sugarcane and other plants and fruit trees such as bananas, plantains and mangoes. But that isn't so anymore. The estate was acquired by the then government from the Deal Fair estate for the establishment of a botanic garden in 1899. Hence the reason for quite a few mango trees left here. Now, from time to time, when businesses such as the National Gas Company and the Unit Trust Corporation have initial public offerings, Tobagonians are encouraged to not just look at buying shares, but understand the benefits of investing. More details in this report.
Investing can be a scary prospect. With the current economic challenges Trinidad and Tobago is facing, the risk of financial investment can be even more daunting. So Tobagonians were invited to a recent meeting to inform them about the process for First Citizens Bank's additional public offering and to address some of their concerns about investing in the banking sector.
If you look historically, banks have generally performed through recessions better than many other operations that depend on you buying something and selling every day, a retail, whether it's retail, manufacturing, which depends on supply and demand. If they're properly run and they do good risk management, because generally to borrow $100, you have to have $1,000 in the bank now. So there's enough collateral that they keep or should keep to protect them from default.
In Tobago, there's a strong emphasis on managing and growing personal wealth beyond saving your money. And the THA's Financial Literacy Secretariat has played a role in educating the public about how to create wealth and make sound financial decisions.
The common message in each presentation is that knowledge is power. Every consumer, and in this case I want to say every investor, has the right to information. And therefore we want to say that this meeting is in no way an endorsement by the Secretariat or the division to purchase in this particular investment. We are not saying to the public to go out there and invest all your money in the APO. But what we want to send is a clear message that your decision must be based on information.
Attendees also learned about how investments work and the difference between saving and investing.
Savings generally start with relatively small amounts. I think you can open a bank account with $10, $100 now, or even less. You can go to a credit union with $10. Investing may involve larger amounts, but doesn't necessarily, which is one of the myths we want to debunk, that you have to wait till you win a lotto or you get inheritance and you have a big money to then go and invest. We take the view the other way. You invest and grow rich rather than grow rich and then invest.
With these open seminars, the Division of Finance and the Economy is seeking to help Tobagonians become more financially literate. This will allow them to take advantage of other investment opportunities that's available in the country. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
The Scarborough Botanical Gardens was mapped out and the paths laid by experts from the Royal Botanic Gardens in Britain. It's arguably some of the best work since the Royal Botanic Gardens, which is also known as Kew Gardens and is synonymous with exquisite greenery and picturesque landscapes. Now, it's not yet 3 months since the inauguration of the 10th Tobago House of Assembly, but the new members of the Assembly aren't wasting any time. This week, we tell you the plans of the Division of Education, Innovation and Energy.
Literacy in math and language is the foundation for any sound academic, vocational or professional career. That's why the reintroduction of math and reading facilitators in primary schools is one of the top priorities for the Division of Education in 2017.
That program would be reintroduced to ensure again that teachers in the primary school are provided with the assistance required to ensure that they execute the curriculum as efficiently as it is required. Too many of our students leave primary schools reading at frustration level, and even as well their numeracy skills are below the level required for them to really benefit from secondary schooling.
The division will also provide schools with additional and appropriate learning tools. These should foster a greater appreciation for and interest in basic concepts, which provide a foundation for higher education.
Many of the schools are devoid of these specific aids that are very, very critical in ensuring that our students abstract the relative and important dimensions and concepts or properties of various concepts. And perhaps that may be one of the weaknesses in the system, why so many of our students do not do better in maths.
Another item on the agenda for the Secretary of Education is a plan to have schools tailor their own needs and goals so that they can assess themselves against their own targets from time to time.
Standards would be established on an individual school basis, and one expects that with the intervention of the teachers, having regard to where the diagnostic points them, there will be a net improvement year on year.
Mr. Charles is working closely with the Ministry of Education as well as Tobago's schools to create more effective academic policies and plans. Going forward, issues such as curriculum development and school repairs will continue to be a part of the agenda for the division. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Coming up next, National Emergency Exercise Day 2017. Stay tuned. Let's Talk Tobago. We'll be right back.
Come, there we go to Tobago, that paradise found by Robinson Crusoe. And it is said, it's the land of tomorrow. Princess Margaret say, come Tobago for holiday. Now the whole world say, come Tobago for holiday.
Here at the Scarborough Botanical Gardens, there are a few mahogany trees planted on the side of the garden. We're told that at least 2 of them were planted by the late Arthur N.R. Robinson during his tenure as Prime Minister. And the Botanical Garden is just one of the many beautiful locations in Tobago. Charlottesville is also another. It's one of the most scenic and serene villages on the island. But in the event of a tsunami, it's one of the areas that will be affected. Here's what's being done to prepare for such a disaster.
In the event of a tsunami, Charlottesville is one of the first areas on the island that would face significant damage, becoming a zone of chaos. That's one of the reasons why this quiet fishing village was chosen as the training site for this year's National Emergency Exercise Day need.
The lessons learned from last year's exercise is that there were biases in terms of the communication gap between ourselves and Charlottesville. And we are able to improve that, and that will be tested this year as to how do we communicate with the villagers in real time. So we'll be putting in an early warning system into Charlottesville.
The theme for this year's disaster simulation is Exercise Exodus. The annual exercise allows first responders, such as the Tobago Emergency Management Agency TEMA, the Defense Force, the Police Service, medical agencies, and the Fire Service, to ensure they are prepared for an actual disaster.
We have a number of young officers at all our emergency disciplines across the island. And therefore, the exposure to mass casualty is one that they need to become acquainted with. The exercise allows us to look at our search capacity of our medical institution. We also have a medical facility in Charlottesville that will come under exercise as well, to see exactly how we will cope with the situation there.
And there's more to it than just testing disaster emergency strategies. Tobagonians are also advised that proper planning on their part can make a difference.
Persons need to have an emergency plan in your homes. Have an emergency plan. For example, there are a number of special needs persons. If you know you have a special need in your community or in your home, you need to ensure that that person is registered with TEMA.
These simulations are aimed at ensuring everyone on the island becomes better prepared to efficiently respond to disasters. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
Remember, we told you earlier that the Scarborough Botanical Gardens is also used as a venue to host events. Behind me, there's the gazebo, sometimes used for wedding ceremonies, Christmas parties, concerts. You name it, it happens right here. Now in this report, you'll hear from the Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development and some of their new initiatives. Crystal George tells us more.
Health is one of the priority areas for the Tobago House of Assembly. Even now, the health sector is undergoing a transformation that will not only boost the sector, but focus on the overall wellness of Tobagonians. That's why the Health and Social Services Division has been redesignated to the Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development. Health Secretary Dr. Agatha Carrington says her division has a vision for an integrated approach to health and wellness.
We propose to establish centers of excellence for health and wellness as part of our Health and Wellness Tourism Trust. And therefore, in the coming months, we will continue our discussions in terms of planning for those centers, services, programs, so that we can address those areas that are important for the health of our populations.
One major area of concern is the prevalence of lifestyle diseases like diabetes and hypertension. The Secretary says there will be a three-pronged approach to dealing with these ailments: treatment, support, and spreading public awareness.
We want to look at how could we manage diabetes in a much more fundamental way, both in terms of health promotion and disease prevention. And because as a risk factor so hypertension is a risk factor for strokes, we want to move towards establishing a center for the management of strokes and diabetes on the island.
Research and collaborations are two key steps to strengthening the health sector on the island.
We intend to collaborate with WashU. We call them WashU, but it is Washington University, School of Medicine, and Rutgers, such that we could embark in much more research in Tobago. The expectation is that the data can guide the decision-making in terms of care we need to provide.
All the data collected will be owned by the Division of Health, Wellness and Family Development. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
Right now we are exploring more of this magnificent space, the Scarborough Botanical Gardens. It's host to many native and non-native flora. In fact, some of these plants, like the silk cotton tree, have been linked to folklore and superstition, whilst others are used for medicinal purposes. Now come with me as I take you on a journey to the Tobago Jazz Experience. This is part of our segment called Footnotes, where we look at development through the years, the highs and lows, the milestones and memorable moments since 1980 when the new assembly was formed. Let's have a look at Footnotes.
April 2009. That's when the Tobago Jazz Experience was born. It replaced the long-running Tobago Jazz Festival as the Tobago House of Assembly sought to infuse more of Tobago's culture into the event. Since then, the island has grown into the place where music lovers from all around the world converge to enjoy jazz. They're also treated to the indigenous music of Trinidad and Tobago, like the sweet sound of soca. And new music from across the globe. This experience you'll only find in Tobago is hosted each year by the Division of Tourism, Transportation and Culture. Major international artists like Trey Songz, Jennifer Hudson, and John Legend have all graced the stage of the Tobago Jazz Experience. And of course, local powerhouses like Marshall Montano provide the energy for which the event has become well known. The Jazz Experience runs for 11 days at various venues around the island, starting in Speyside and ending in Pigeon Point. There's also an educational component. Workshops are carried out at various high schools to help inspire students interested in a career in the music industry. As the Tobago Jazz Experience continues to grow, fringe events have also surfaced, such as Lev and Tobago Fashion Coda, which both offer a fusion of fashion, entertainment, art, and cuisine. But it's more than just music, as the tagline says. The Jazz Experience aims to woo visitors to the island, raising awareness of what Tobago has to offer as well as its visibility.
Despite the budgetary constraints, I would tell you that we are attempting to still keep the festival at quality and good entertainment. That you come, you enjoy what we have to offer in the communities, you enjoy all the other niches, all the other sites, attractions.
2017 promises to be even better, with performances by artists such as Grace Jones and D'Angelo, just to name a few. the Tobago Jazz Experience is partly sponsored by Flow and has blossomed into a flagship event since its inception. I'm Kern De Freitas for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time to take a break, but when we return, Tobagonians get grants to improve their housing condition. Don't go anywhere. Let's Talk Tobago. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
They say it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters the most. And in the face of disaster, chaos, and panic, it is the Tobago Emergency Management Agency's comprehensive emergency response plans that will matter most to Tobago. This agency's modernized approach to emergency management is driven by technology, powered by networking, focused on community resilience, open to partnering, enhanced through training, and led by a highly competent and dedicated staff. This has positioned them as one of the premier disaster management agencies in the region and earned them Trinidad and Tobago Diamond Standard certification. Congrats, TEMA, Tobago Emergency Management Agency.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're viewing Let's Talk Tobago. Now, during the Christmas season, every tree at the Scarborough Botanical Gardens is adorned with Christmas lights and decorations. Owning a home or living in a comfortable home is a dream for many. But in Tobago, through several programs, residents can get to own a home or improve their present living conditions. More details in this report.
Jelani Duke is one of 6 Tobagonians to benefit from the Home Improvement Grant. The Bonaccord resident was visited by a team from the Department of Settlements. He received $7,500, the second tranche of the $15,000 grant, to complete his home. He says he's beyond grateful for the support.
I did my toilet, cesspit, and my electrical. Well, the main thing I want to do right now is the ceiling. And if you look at the house, on the bottom side of the house is the plaster, and see how best I could utilize the money and stretch it in the best way that I could.
The next stop was Mason Hall at the home of Nicole Dennis. Nicole is transforming her small wooden home to concrete, as well as erecting additional rooms. She also received $7,500.
I'm really happy to say thank you because of my mom. Her position, today or tomorrow, we can all benefit from her giving this nice place to us.
The Home Improvement Grant is designed to assist Tobago's homeowners with minor additions and renovation works. It's one way the Tobago House of Assembly is showing its commitment of improving the quality of housing stock on the island.
Sometimes we make people comfortable, go and see the condition, visit, make sure people are utilizing the grants as they should. It will be beneficial to them because people are using it to uplift their living standards.
The division has a number of programs geared towards assisting and improving the living and housing conditions of Tobago's homeowners. The programs include the Home Improvement Grant, the Home Improvement Subsidy, and the Home Completion Grant. I'm Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
If you're coming to Tobago, the Scarborough Botanical Gardens is very near to all amenities in the capital. The gardens are just about 17 acres of land, which is bounded to the north by the Claude Noel Highway and nestled in the heart of Scarborough. It's also the place where 33 species of birds and 15% of Tobago's bird species reside. We switch gears a little as this story focuses on you, the consumer. We celebrated World Consumer Rights Day with its theme, Building a Digital World Consumers Can Trust. Here's how it happened in Tobago.
Imagine purchasing a product and not getting your money's worth. You'd probably return to the store and seek redress from the manager or business owner. And if you're still not satisfied, you might take it a step further by seeking assistance from the authorities in an effort to protect your rights as a consumer. World Consumer Rights Day seeks to address issues like these and to raise awareness of the challenges and responsibilities of consumers across the globe. This year's theme for World Consumer Rights Day 2017 is Building a Digital World Consumers Can Trust. It was also the theme of a recent public forum to create awareness about consumer rights online. The Division of Finance and the Economy hosted a forum recently where they invited persons to come hear about their rights as a consumer.
It's a day where we mark and celebrate the rights you have as a consumer. We all are consumers. We all buy products and obtain services for our personal use and satisfaction.
As a consumer, you have rights when purchasing goods or services. These include the right to safety, the right to be informed, the right to choose, and the right to be heard.
So in 1914, then President John F. Kennedy, right, he signed documents in place to bring about the first Consumer Bill of Rights. He signed it for the first 4 consumer rights. He did that. He signed that after the 18th century. It protected consumers and also it stimulates competition among traders. Because when there's competition among traders, consumers tend to get a better deal.
The event was hosted by the Consumer Affairs Unit of the Division of Finance and the Economy. It's part of a thrust to ensure people are informed and have an active role in protecting their rights as consumers.
The division is committed to working with the public, working with consumers to ensure that we have the tools, the knowledge, and the type of information we need to make us better users of the various services that we have.
World Consumer Rights Day is celebrated each year on March 15th. I am Marlon Gotsleben for Let's Talk Tobago.
And it's time to have Your Say, the segment of our program where we hear what you, the viewers, have to say. Today we're asking, how can we protect our rights as consumers? While you think about it, let's take a look at who had their say.
I believe that, by drawing up a contract, and make sure that, everything follows through according to the terms of the contract.
I have to be aware of my surroundings. If I go into a store to buy stuff, I will make sure I have my links and try not to have too much of cash on me.
If it's too expensive, I won't buy.
I will look for a receipt. So a receipt could show that I pay for this stuff. If it's not good and you do have a receipt, you don't have any proof that you bought it, right?
So you always have to protect yourself by watching at the cash register. Look at your goods when they're packing it in the bags, and always be careful.
For instance, the corned beef that is not good, I will not buy it anymore. Which is rotten meat, right? Because I'm a person that really look out for my health. Okay, so I will not purchase something like that.
We close another edition of Let's Talk Tobago, and as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Davia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and very productive week. We close now with a montage of the courtesy calls to the Chief Secretary.